Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. So excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm gonna review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. Occasionally, not so geeky ones too. And I also like to mix things up once in a while by not reviewing anything. Hope you enjoy Smash Trivia Presents The Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they can please do something for me. Please share the hell of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Now that we have all that important stuff out of the way, let's smash right into this episode. Hello, my Gamma friends. Today I'm going to review Batman, the movie from 1966. I'll be doing this with Bubb from the Anyone's Comic Book Podcast. How you doing, Bubb?
I'm doing fantastic, John. How are you?
I'm doing good. This is gonna be a fun one to review. If anyone's wondering, because this is not a Batman film that I think many people know about. This is a Batman movie that is based on the Adam West TV show from the 60s. And it's very different from any other Batman film you'll probably ever see.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. This movie is in my top 10 DC films, if not in my top 10 superhero movies I've ever
Hmm.
watched. I love how stupid this movie is. And I say that with all the love in the world.
Okay. I so as you know, I love of goofy, wacky superhero movies. I think this was a little bit much for me, even, and which is surprising with Ising for who I am, but I think it was a little much for me. I still liked it, but I don't think I didn't love it. I think so I've talked to you in the past about how what I think Batman should be is Batman is this over the top serious guy in this wacky world. This is not what I meant, but what I mean by that. What I mean by that for like Batman's tone is think about Liam Neeson in movies is what I think of as the perfect Batman and feel, and then the world around him is wacky, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. He should be kind of I guess the comedy term for it is a straight man, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's like, hey, and I think there is a very big difference between like actual serious character and over the top serious. I think,
Well,
and it's an interesting thing. I mean, because I don't think many people like understand that there is a difference between those two things.
no, I feel you on that. I think Batman's a little goofy in this too, which I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie. It's kind of era appropriate
Yeah.
because the 60s were a weird but also kind of fun time in comics.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Wait. I wasn't that when the Golden Age comics was happening and the comics code ode was in effect.
so the Golden Age, unless I'm wrong, was in the 40s,
Oh,
um,
okay.
which is the introduction of like Superman, Batman, Captain America, Wonder Woman, Flash, that kind of thing. The 60s, they started introducing, I think that was Silver Age. I could
Oh
be
no.
wrong about that. Someone could call me out, but the 60s are where we start getting things like the Fantastic Four, Hulk, notably for this
Mhm.
podcast, Avengers, Defenders,
And
all,
it was during a time when things were, I think, a lot more wacky in comics. And a big part of that had to do with the comics code because they didn't want, because the government didn't want there to be lots of violence in these, which led to particularly for like Batman comics. Joker was less of like a murderous person and more of a prankster during that time.
Yeah. And that's what his name was. I was starting to look it up and I was like, now I know. There's this psychologist by the name of Dr. Wortham. Uh and he kind of had this and he's a lot of the reason why the Comics Code Authority started in the first place. But essentially he tried to claim that like comic books were satanic in nature and caused kids to be more violent. He also had a big thing about Batman and Robin being gay. Just all sorts of like wild things. But um, because he had that degree and was able to talk the talk, he turned a lot of people that way. And you see that
Sadly.
influence in comics for a long time. Um, Hell, in early Fantastic Four comics, you will never see the Human Torch shoot fire at anybody, even if they have the like durability to withstand it,
Mhm.
because he like the Comics Code Authority was like this character can only burn things like rope. They can't, you know,
You
use their
know,
power against anybody.
it's kind of funny to me that that this guy's problem with Batman and Robin is they thought they were gay, and then the Batman Robin series that came out or Batman TV show that came out around that point in comic history, he is the most flamboyant in Batman and there is. Like that's kind of hilarious to me.
There's a whole lot of fucked up shit with that entire era. Like, but again, we're looking back at it
Uh,
with a modern lens too. So like, maybe it was perceived differently at the time. It's
uh,
a whole lifetime away. Because like, let's see, my mom was born in 60. My dad is older than her by like a year or two. So like, um, they were watching this when they were kids. Some
mhm.
agree. My dad was more of a Gilligan's Island kind of guy. But he remembered it being goofy.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, which I was talking to this about how this before we started recording, but uh I had a conversation with my mom about this because she watched this when she was a little kid, and it was interesting because she said that she thought that the reason why they didn't have them going out at night and this was because it possibly being too scary, and this is in her mind she didn't think of this as a comedy, and she said that things like Scooby Doo and the Addams Family were able to get away with it being at night because of it being a comedy, which just I I don't think so because I that just doesn't feel right. That I to me like you know I've watched some of the original Scooby Doo cartoons from the '60s. The with the original series being Scooby Doo, Where Are You? There's more comedy in this than there is in that, easily.
and I agree with you. I also think that because of both Wortham and the Comics Code Authority, that this would have been more heavily scrutinized than
Makes sense.
Scooby Doo or uh, Adam's Family at the time.
Yeah, makes sense.
I could be
Oh,
up base.
yeah, that makes sense though. No, so chat. One thing I found particularly interesting in this that I haven't really seen with any other iteration of Batman that it's not something that I mind in it, but I just found interesting. Batman has like an entire team of people in this. He's like
Oh
you
yeah,
have like he goes to another airfield where workers at the airfield are getting are have his helicopter are ready. Like, and that's really interesting to me because you don't normally see him having an actual team of people. It's just him and Robin usually.
yes. And I thought that was really interesting. It felt kind of Hollywoodized, right? But
Hmm.
it also occurred to me while I was watching it, because one of the first notes I have is, does Wayne Manor really have neighbors that close? Because any other adaptation, comics, TV show, or otherwise that I've seen of Wayne Manor, um, there's no one who can see Bruce's front yard from their front yard, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and so the thing where, oh, I could just have my Batwing or Batcopter or Batmobile, whatever, just at home that I can get it out of there, it wouldn't work as well in this because there are so many people who could just see it. Like, oh yeah, Bruce Wayne is Batman. There's the Batcopter coming out of Wayne Manor again. Unless you had really good neighbors, but I don't know if I would trust any of the neighbors I've had in
Yeah,
my life with that.
it's there is that, but also like when you look at as they actually come out of the Batcave in the Batmobile, it's very clearly a different place than where they have the manor. It's like
Oh yeah,
like it's this woodsy area where they have the manor, or kind of versus it's like definitely coastal where they're coming out of the tunnel.
yeah. And I have this weird map of it in my brain where I rationalized it. But yeah, you're right.
It's just
You're 100% right.
yeah. Oh man. Oh, one thing that I did really like about this that not many other Batman adaptations do, they made a point to show Batman quickly figuring out stuff to show how he is the greatest, the world's greatest detective or whatever. And that and most Batman adaptations, I don't think really have that much versus, but this you immediately know he's going to be able to figure out things quickly.
Absolutely. And to piggyback off that, there's actually a comic this year where Batman was going through the multiverse or whatever, meeting up with different Batmen trying to stop another version of himself. Something like that. I didn't personally read it, but I listened to a lot of comic news. So they actually had a part where he went to Earth 67, which is Adam West Batman, and they straight up give that Batman the tagline of being the guy who is more prepared than any other Batman in the multiverse. Because he thinks so far ahead. Now, it's very cartoonish and silly, don't get me wrong, but that is what this version of Batman is, which I really like. You
Oh yeah.
know, he shouldn't just be some muscle that beats up guys in hockey pads. I like that version, don't get me wrong, but um, we got to find. I'm hoping the next Batman is somewhere in between.
Yeah. Um, like I so a lot of people grew up on the on Batman the animated series. That was a
Mhm.
little bit before my before or I happened. So I grew up on both all the Batman from 2003 and also Batman the Brave and the Bold. And I would love if they made the next X iteration of Batman to be a sort of like those, which those really do have the this over the top serious Batman, and that he's just in a wacky world.
So I really liked Batman the Brave and the Bold. The Batman, I it's pretty good. It doesn't hit me with nostalgia like
Mhm.
that, so it doesn't affect me as
Well,
much.
makes
Um,
sense. And it's like that was what I grew up on, so of course it's gonna hit me with nostalgia and not you.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. Brave and the Bold I could totally see. Although I grew up on Batman the animated series, and if they could, this is a tall order, so I don't expect it. If they could find someone in live action who could capture the magic that Kevin Conroy brought to the role, I don't give a
Hmm.
fuck what version of Kevin Conroy's Batman it is that they bring out, but oh
Oh
my
yeah.
god, he was so amazing. Um,
Yeah, that definitely, and like if they do have a Joker in this one, which most likely they will, I hope they allow him to be a fun Joker and in the same ways with Kevin Conroy, making him have that magic that Mark Hamill had as Joker in the animated series.
And I think letting him have fun is half the thing that sticks out to me about the best Jokers, where you talk about Mark Hamill or comics or whatever. The thing that's so unique about the Joker is that he has an on and off switch where he's like, "Oh, I'm just messing around. I'm gonna electrify some people, whatever, haha, having fun." And then there's the like very serious growl at the bottom of his voice, Joker, who will fuck you up, and the best Jokers know how to go back and forth to where you're engaged. What the hell is this guy
Well,
gonna do next?
a sign that I love the idea of. I don't think we've ever had a Joker who's quite like this, but I think would be really cool to see is a Joker who his kills are hilarious to the point where you as an audience member are worrying about yourself and your mental health of being like, I found that funny, this messed up thing that he did. Like, I think that would be so interesting to see signing with the Joker where where he causes the audience to it would be like, am I crazy like the Joker?
And I think the clear and easy way to do that is to take at least some people from the team from the first Deadpool movie and be like, you're on this Batman movie, you know,
Mhm.
because they did a really good. There were a few kills in that movie where I was just like, oh my god, you
Yeah.
know, they could do it.
Hmm.
The talent exists. DC Warner Brothers just has to pay for it and go, hey, we're gonna
And
try
I think,
something new here.
and I have some faith in James Gunn that he would allow the Joker to actually be fun, unlike the couple most recent iterations, and just because the of James Gunn's personality, he likes making fun movies. He's
Absolutely.
not trying to like when he's trying to make a film, he's not trying to make sign like Joker from 2019 or Matt Reeves' Batman movie. He wants to embrace the absolute wackiness of comics.
Does. And I almost feel like James Gunn is writing a love letter to characters that he loves
Mhm.
rather than like, some of the other ones, it's like, oh, for example, I think what DC has been doing wrong for a while is they're trying to provide too much scattershot fan service where it's like, the fans are asking for this, so we're going to throw this in here. It doesn't really make sense, but fuck it.
Mhm.
What they need to do is put in bit by bit, like, oh, that's a cool thing we could work in here, but we'll do it right.
Yeah.
Because you need
The
fan service
one
in comic book stuff. Don't get me wrong.
The one thing that worries me about James Gunn's universe is he was hired to be the Kevin Feige of this universe, not direct all the films. I feel like, and not to say that I don't like his directing. I love his directing. I just feel like if he does too much of the directing, it could end up being too much for him and it could end up hurting some of the films because he's just putting too much on his plate.
And I don't think he necessarily has to do that because
But I'm just saying because like he's doing Superman, he's doing Creature Commandos, he's doing in Peacemaker season 2 at the very least. I'm pretty sure he's directing all of those. And he needs to. I think he needs to be a like stepping back and letting other directors do all these things and mainly take on that behind the scenes role that Kevin Feige has as if he wants to keep his sanity.
and like so I know James Gunn has done a lot of mentoring. Specifically, this is a weird little aside. I was going to. Do you guys have half price books out by where you are?
No, but we have something that's pretty similar. I'm pretty sure over
Okay.
here. So
Well, it's this discount bookshop. They have comics. Every once in a while, I like to go there and just like, what comics do they got today? I can always find something new and interesting. Well, I was talking to the guy stocking the shelves, and you know, he started telling me like uh about his history. He apparently had been pitching comic book adaptations to Hollywood at certain points in his career, and then he was like, it is a miserable life out there. Like, I'm getting out of that. And so now he's working at Half Price Books, but he actually was mentored by James Gunn. I was like, that's fucking insane, dude. And apparently he just does shit like that. Like, and the thing is, if you have the kind of mentor not situation, you can go,
Mhm.
I know there's this person that I saw grow for years. I can have them direct this movie
Yeah,
and have them in line with what I'm doing, you know?
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I don't know. That's what I would be thinking about. And there's also a lot of creative talent in Hollywood that he can
Hmm.
lean towards. But
Oh yeah, definitely. I just, that's the one thing that I worry, and it's not even a big worry. I just worry a little bit of it, of like, I know he's trying to be hands-on a lot of things, and if you put too much on your plate, it can all go crashing down.
oh, absolutely. And I think he is going to be smarter about that than I doubt he's even thinking
Uh,
about trying to direct
Maybe,
everything, you know?
like man, anything that makes me I that I can see of a difference between him and Feige that I feel like is why Feige didn't just immediately go into trying to direct these films. Is Feige knew when he started his universe that he's not that's not what he needs to be doing, because he had been doing that behind the scenes work or for 10, 15 years already, because he was doing that stuff on the original X-Men films as well. So
And the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man too, right?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so he knew when he started his universe, I'm gonna just put these all into everybody else's hands. I'm not going to try and push everything myself. And I think that that was a good thing, because if he had tried I'd like making the first three things of the MCU of Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2 himself, it would have been an absolute mess.
But you also have to remember that, okay, so people knew who the Hulk was, people knew who Captain America
Hmm.
was. Iron Man was not a household name. Thor, I mean, no one thought of
Yeah.
Marvel Thor. Um, so all those characters were relatively unknown properties and therefore a lot less of a risk. You know what I mean? Like with DC right now, it's a risk to put your name on that. So if I were James Gunn, I might want to control the first few projects, just like, hey,
Makes sense.
this is the level, this is the line. Now, anyone who comes after me and works under me, I expect to be right here. And if it goes lower, you're fucking out of here, you know?
Hmm.
Because DC's reputation is trash for movies
The,
right now.
the,
They were killing it for a while.
mhm.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I do remember. I don't know if this is still the case, Ace, but I seem to remember something about James Gunn possibly having Andy Muschietti, who did the Flash movie, be the director for the actor for his Batman movie, which seems like a is like a interesting choice, since a lot of people did not end up liking the Flash movie, and also the so I didn't end up actually watching the Flash movie, but there was one particular thing that I saw from it that kind of told me that Andy Muschietti doesn't really understand Batman, because so there's a joke in it where Batman jokes about his own childhood trauma and what happened to his parents, which definitely does not seem like something Batman would do. He's not on someone who would joke about his trauma. So and that makes me feel like I hope he's not gonna make like Batman be constantly making irreverent humor.
So I don't think one, yeah, I saw the movie. That didn't take me out of it. I won't lie.
Mhm.
Because first off, it's essentially a Flashpoint Batman,
Well, yeah.
right?
Well, this
Um,
was this was before that. This was the Ben Affleck Batman at the beginning.
huh. Oh, damn. That I have no idea. I mean, I don't remember that at all. But
It was during the clip that I saw was Barry, Batman, and Wonder Woman on a bridge.
was Wonder Woman in The Flash?
Believe so.
Maybe I was very properly hydrated when I watched that movie. Um, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. Yeah. She was definitely in it. And I just looked up right now, and there's and immediately when I looked up Flash movie Wonder Woman, I'm seeing a bunch of clips
Oh,
of the scene, and I'm talking about.
post credit. Gotcha.
Oh, that was a post credit scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought I had heard that the post credit scene was buried now in George Clooney's universe. Okay,
Um,
that's very confusing.
I thought that was at the very, very end of it.
Well, I
Um,
haven't watched the film. You probably know better than me.
yeah. I think that was at the very end, that not post
Let me
credit
see.
though. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, what happens in the Flash post credit scene? Uh, oh no. The post credit is Barry and Aquaman after a night of drinking. I thought that was at the beginning. I don't know. Looks like well,
whatever.
I'll rewatch that movie. I'll text you.
Whatever.
Uh
Like I've that's a film that I've that with all the controversies around it, it very much turned me off of watching it, especially when I heard a lot of people say that they did not like it. So I
it
just
was
was like, I'm not gonna take the time to watch this.
it was such a bad movie. I mean, I don't see the point in it. I will watch this movie
Yeah.
twice, three times back to back before I'll watch that movie once. I promise you. Um,
Oh, yeah. So, I think with this, um, I really enjoyed was the scene of Batman carrying the bomb around. That was a lot of fun.
that might be my favorite scene in this
Yeah.
movie, especially
Oh,
because you were like, "How is the bomb going to blow up?" And then you were like, "No, no, it's not."
yeah.
Until the
Yeah,
plot says it's okay.
oh, I want to talk about the villains in this. Um, I really liked a lot of them, but the one that I was on that I was very disappointed by was Joker. He doesn't seem to do much.
No, he doesn't.
Like I was so that was and it almost and also like and I'm someone who has not watched the TV show, so people who watch the TV show probably have a fondness for this version of Joker, but it didn't feel like Cesar Romero was like trying it all with like the voice to make him really feel jokery. And so he kind of fell flat to me.
I'm not gonna lie. For the time, I think Cesar Romero's Joker was probably the most comic accurate Joker that we've
Mhm.
ever had. Which it doesn't mean that he's the best, but probably the most comic accurate. I think that in a lot of ways, I think there were, I think I remember hearing something a long time ago about something to do with basically Riddler taking on some of the Joker's type of personality.
I could
Um,
definitely see some of that with this.
as basically because they were having more difficulty using the Joker, so the Riddler kind of had to step
Interesting.
up, and so Riddler actually became a bigger villain because of this TV show.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that was an interesting thing to be like. I would have thought that Joker would have been the leader of this gaggle of supervillains, and but he's very much just side player. Everybody else has more to do than him. Um, I think Riddler probably was my favorite out of all of them in this. Another one that I found a little that I found interesting. Um, with Catwoman, she barely fights.
correct.
It feels like she wants to, but she's not allowed or something. Because there are multiple scenes where she's like, where she's like in a corner and she has her claws going out, like she wants to fight, but then she just doesn't.
So I thought about that, and my best rationale for a 60s movie is that if
Sexism.
she, if she fights, what does Batman have to do? He has to punch a woman.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like
And then the way that she is defeated in the end, she just trips. Like,
yes,
wow.
and I really thought that
Oh.
she at the first time I watched it, I thought that when she tripped and her mask came down, it was a ploy to distract Batman. But no, she just
No,
tripped.
she just the
Because
sexism of the
let's
60s.
the sexism of the 60s. What a time. What a time.
Oh man.
Now we will not be doing this movie credit if we do not mention the most iconic thing from this movie. The shark repellent bat spray
Yes.
is something that I've referenced far more in my life than I should probably admit. I
I
love that.
mean, I mean, I think that's absolutely fine to reference that a lot. It's been referenced a lot among many Batman adaptations ever since this.
And it is so delightful. Like how
Like
dumb.
so many of the iconic 60s Batman moments are from this movie. I noticed. I'm like, like I would have thought it would have been like a lot more like spread out among that series, not just in one movie, but okay.
Right.
Oh, decided another thing that really shows the time that this was in when it came out is the absolute disdain that Robin has for people who drink.
Oh my God. I had
Like,
that in my
holy
notes too.
shit.
I'd rather be dead than not be able to trust my own eyes. Also, alcoholic, or
And then,
what is it? Alcoholic delusions. That's what they said.
he brings it up multiple times. Obviously, later it's like Batman, you would really, um, care to not kill all those drunkards? Like, what? Really? This is Batman. Why would you want him to kill people?
And
Robin, come on, man.
this is also Dick Grayson, who is arguably one of the most like compassionate characters. Like Dick Grayson's just a good dude, you know. When he's been Batman, people have been able to tell because he is just not as brutal at all.
I feel like 60s was past the time when there was any kind of like laws against people drinking or anything. So I
Yes,
wouldn't have thought it would be that frowned upon in this, but I was really surprised by how much how they were against it. And I'm pretty sure to the point where when when Bruce Wayne goes out with Catwoman, he drinks, I'm pretty sure, just milk.
yes. So I did just look it up. Prohibition ended in 1933, but again, so there are 60s movies where people drink, but those are not comic book movies.
Mhm.
Again, you have where the in
Yeah,
the comic
this
book
was
story.
definitely like for children. So
Yeah,
but it's just interesting. I mean, the way that they talk about it. And then happily though, Batman does put Robin in his place and says, they may be people who drink, but they're still people, Robin. That's you can't
right.
say decide that people don't matter because of the they drink. Ugh.
And I think as time went on, they got to more of a point where you'll see adult characters drink a glass of wine and not talk about it, but that it's about moderation. Like that, it
Hmm.
seems to me like a better lesson to teach kids than like, oh, that's alcohol. It's bad because eventually they're going to learn that alcohol can be kind of fun. But if you teach them, hey, if you drink in moderation, it's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
That's a way better lesson.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, yeah. Something I found funny to see in this that was also a sign that they that was mentioned in one of the short short stories at the end of issues of the comic that we were reading for your podcast, of DC Universe Legacies. Um, they have that this cruise ship is just created using a projection, which they had in the DC Universe Legacies. A battle between the Spectre and somebody else was supposedly using just as projections.
And that is 100% a reference to this movie because that came out 45
Oh
years
yeah,
afterwards.
definitely. But I find it very interesting because I don't think even today projections could be that good that people would not be able to tell it's projection. Action, let alone in the 60s.
Let alone the world's greatest detective.
Hmm.
Oh my God, a bird flew straight through that ship. How is that possible?
Oh
Um,
man.
especially from a single point like a movie. That, regardless, I no, I agree with you 100%. Um,
It, um, I love how they made fun of the of how lazy the writing was with the odds when they landed on these foam pieces. Is like that even a gambler would find that cringe, as of how low of a chance it would be to actually have that happen.
100%. And like, there's so much like goofy ass writing in this movie that you know that in the writers' room they were just having fun.
Hmm.
Like the way that the commissioner of Batman figured out who was behind everything. They were like, "Oh, while I was on that ladder, it was kind of fishy. So where there's fish, there's penguins. What? It was out at sea. Sea for Catwoman. Like, come on, guys.
Like
The shark
I feel
pulling the
like
leg was
there
my favorite.
were some of the Riddler's riddles where I was like, okay, I can see how that makes sense, but then there were others where I'm just like, what? The huh?
And I think that part of what they were trying to do was have it so that the character, so that Batman seems like he is operating at a level that we can't, but at the same time, like make it conceivable. Um,
Oh
actually, my favorite Joker or my favorite Riddler answer was the Sparrow with a gun. Because
yeah,
what the fuck? It
yeah,
was
like that
with the
was really
machine gun, right?
yeah, they're like machine gun. But then when they go to combine the things, they just don't include the machine gun part of it at all. So it's
Right.
just like, what was the point of that? Okay. I I do think there were some jokes in this where I don't think it really landed for me, and I think that's just they're they just felt a little bit boring. But that's kind of expected as time goes on. Not all jokes are gonna land and for everybody. So that's not a big deal to me. But that's is something I wanted to mention. Like, I think there are clearly some jokes that land a lot better than others.
I 100% agree. How'd you feel about the porpoise?
The what?
The porpoise, the one that
Uh,
went between the buoy and the submarine and took the missile instead of the buoy.
the
I have that marked in my notes as Deus ex porpoisa.
Uh, oh man, I do appreciate that that Batman and Robin were like, these animals made a mighty sacrifices for us, and not just like, they were animals. It's fine that they died.
Right. Oh, and they called the porpoise almost human, which porpoises are smart,
Which is,
if I recall.
I think that's really appreciated, especially because it's a sign from the 60s, which there was a lot. I think there was a lot less
General awareness.
anti-killing animals sentiment back then versus today. People are more on like we should protect animals today.
Yeah. Thank you, PETA. Um, for any listeners at home who could not see my shit-eating grin, no, I'm being sarcastic. Fuck PETA. Uh, sorry, their shelters have some of the highest kill rates. I don't know if you've seen that. That's sorry, I won't get political.
No, I don't, I'm not, I don't mind. I'm absolutely happy for this podcast to be political. The thing is, I, with the animals thing, I'm like, part of me is like, it's a really hard thing for me, as someone who does eat meat. I'm like, this is like I love the taste of this, and it would be really hard for me to completely change my diet. But at the same time, there is a part of me that's like, this is kind of fucked.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of Lion King it. It's a circle of life, you know.
Yeah, like, but
I
even though, like, even with me, I'm happy that you meet, I ate honestly, because it is, because it's been just been part of my diet for so long. But I do like really appreciate whenever movies are like we're gonna point out how messed up it is when is particularly when animals are hunted and for sport, or in a situation like this where it's where they got exploded by the villains. Like I think that's a cool thing for them to bring up.
yeah. Well, especially because like it was something that wasn't planned. The animal is just collateral damage.
Oh
It
yeah.
sucks, but
Yeah.
also, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as the
No.
shark thing. Filling a shark with TNT and having it bite Batman's
Yeah,
leg.
that's got really kind of messed up.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I was thinking about what watching is today. If you watched a Batman adaptation, like sign those a modern Batman adaptation, there is an emotional connection between the villains and Batman.
yeah.
There's none in this. Like they are very happy about the idea that that they think they've killed Batman. Versus, I think in a lot of modern Iron versions, and both in the comics and in live action, the villains, if they think they have, they are stunned and they're like, "What do we do now? This has not happened before. This is weird." And sometimes they get even a little bit sad by it because they don't actually hate Batman. They enjoy the game of it. Versus like these versions of the villains, they're absolutely happy to see Batman be gone.
Well, uh, there's one exception to that in this movie, in my opinion, and that's Catwoman. Catwoman is, I actually have it in my notes. Catwoman is Batman's kryptonite. So yeah, he has feelings for her, and
Mhm.
honestly, there's a few moments when I'm watching there, and she's not
Yeah,
just playing it.
yeah,
There's some attraction.
that was something I was thinking about watching. I was like, I do think there's some there. I wish there was more though. Of her, of you being able to tell that she's feeling this as well. Not just it's a game for her. Or I like there was some there, but I wish there was more because that is a big part of Catwoman is that she does like Batman, and also her love for Batman sometimes causes her to end up helping him, and I think that would have been a really cool twist in the end of this of having and Catwoman and trying like maybe they're close to actually killing Batman, and her being her sabotaging them so that they don't, I think would have been really cool.
Not seeing it, but like Dark Knight Returns.
Mhm.
Um, in a lot of ways, Selena Kyle is Bruce Wayne's love of his life. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
There's a lot of alternate futures where they end up together, you know?
Not the Christopher Nolan trilogy. They end up together at the end.
Right. And um I think that it's Catwoman's very femme fatale, and they tried to adapt that but the reason that it's not as much is because you have to remember in the 60s they like to dumb down kids content a lot because
Yeah.
they're like, it's just for kids, they'll enjoy it, it's fine. um
Uh,
but whereas today you see more complex things like
oh yeah,
Teen Titans would have
definitely.
never been a kids show when in the 60s,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, definitely.
too complicated, you know.
Something that I found out really funny, but also makes absolutely no sense at all is Joker when he goes out in public, he wears a mask in this. When they go like when they go to the building to for the World Council, whatever it is, he just like everybody else, he wears a mask ass over his eyes.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like,
right.
what? Why does he need a mask? Everybody's gonna know he's a Joker, whether he wears that or not.
Yeah, it's goofy as hell.
Oh man, I just found that really funny that I like how I saw that I was thinking how what was in my mind was I was like I'm like I feel like this is just like the Joker wants to be included. Everybody else is wearing masks, so he's doing it to be included.
Right. And Caesar Romero is such a goofy little dude. Like, not a goofy little dude, but he's such a goofy iteration of the Joker. Like, so silly. It's great.
Oh
Uh,
man.
um, one part of writing that I actually enjoyed and felt very Batman-y to say, uh, of what use is a dream if not a blueprint for courageous action.
Oh yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a cheesy motherfucker, but I like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
Um,
like I think a lot of the writing in this is really good. Even though it is very simple, but it is really good, I think. Like every joke is very simple, but yeah, I think it's good. It's good. Trying to think. It was really funny, but also really dumb to me how the the only reason the villains end up actually being able to kidnap Bruce Wayne is because Robin is a prude.
yeah. Um, Also, on that note, when the Med tried to first kidnap Bruce Wayne, I have in my notes Bruce throws hands in a 2-for-1 special. How the hell could none of them deduce that he was Batman?
Yeah, he definitely has a lot more skill than any normal person. Even if they couldn't tell from that, they should have been able to tell when he fought them at their base, Ace's Bruce, because like no normal man is going to grab onto um a piece of wood from like a door frame or something and jump into into their opponent if they're not a trained in person. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it is wild.
Yeah.
What else do the next thing that I have after that is also one of the funniest notes. Riddler goes, and there's nothing to link us to this crime. You're using Joker technology to launch someone into an exploding octopus. How the hell is that not going to be traced, at least to them? And
But
then,
also, you're super villains. I'm gonna be honest. You're so flamboyant that I don't think you should care if people know it was you.
right, the only way that if I were a supervillain, I'd be worried about killing a superhero is if the Justice League existed in that world. And that's because if Superman and Flash are pissed, I
I think,
none of them are
and
staying their own.
I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why. yeah, a lot of comics and a lot of adaptations. The villains don't want to kill Batman. They
Right.
really don't. But then also like there's the also because there's also the fact that they do love the game of doing this. It's they don't it's not just they want to steal these things. They want Batman to come after them. They want to be fighting Batman, and it reminds me of is in the Harley Quinn anime show. Have you watched that?
Yes. Yes, I have.
The in the season one finale when one of Joker's goons takes off Batman's mask and Batman immediately is like, "Why? Why would you do that?
No,
I don't.
it was
I don't."
Scarecrow
Oh
taking off
yeah,
Batman's mask and Joker said it.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. But Joker is like, "Why? Why would you do that? I don't. I don't want to know who he is. I like the mystery of this."
Huh.
It's like that like these villains, they are supposed to enjoy this or the stuff with Batman. So and that along with the Justice League aspect really does make them like, I'm not gonna kill this guy. Why would I want to kill this guy?
Right. I mean, yeah, it's absolutely.
Uh, oh, now, something I thought was a really interesting thing that I wonder if there's ever been any comics or there's definitely not been adaptations, but man, I would love to be another adaptation to try and do something with this. Is the dehydrator. Like I thought that was such an interesting concept that they dehydrated people and then brought them back. Like I would love to see if there was another comic or if at some point in the future someone tried to make an adaptation of that where it actually somehow made sense. Like I think that would be really fun to see.
Don't think they did. Um, what the part that didn't make sense to me about the rehydrator, and really I let it go because it's a kid's show.
Mm.
But like, how are you going to tell me that their clothes dehydrate with them? Like, how much moisture do you think is in your t-shirt besides your own sweat?
Yeah, that's a good point. Something that I found like absolutely insane about it is when they dehydrate the members of the World Council. Each one of them is a different color. Why are they different colors?
Okay, speaking, and this is a terrible segue, and I'm so sorry about this. At the very end of the movie, Robin essentially goes, um, as Batman's like, okay, we're going to store the national and ethnic portions to these people, which also, why, why is that part of what you have to do? But that's fine. Robin's like, well, what if we tweak them so that, we fix some problems? What the fuck? What are you trying to do here? No, that's wild.
I think he wants to create world peace. Um,
By tweaking people's
I
ethnicities.
can't. Oh no,
So,
I don't think he meant. I don't think he meant their ethnicities. I think he just wanted like to tinker with their DNA to try and make them better people. But yeah, but then also, and this is something they didn't actually really make a lot of time, like spend a lot of time on, but I noticed, particularly on my second watch, which I did, which was today, um, they probably should have done some tinkering with these people's DNA because um in that final scene when once they're brought back, they're not right. Their brains are all mismatched.
which I won't lie. I think that's cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think that like Batman's like this could be the greatest thing that's ever happened. I mean, like I don't know about that. That I feel like that could be that like this is probably gonna end up being causing a lot of wars somehow. But okay,
right. Well, and yeah,
like I'm not like mad about it. It was hilarious. But I think it's like interesting to mention how they're very clearly they have messed up their minds.
Right. Um,
Uh, Now, one character in this that I'm not sure exactly what was the point of, at least originally within the villain's plan, the sea captain. He doesn't really do anything. Hey, at least until he messes with he runs into Batman and at the end it didn't like yeah, Penguin pretended to be him, but I don't think that was originally part of their plan. So I'm wondering what was their point in kidnapping him?
right. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
honestly.
I was like that was like really interesting to me. I'm like, you guys are obviously having like a lot of trouble with this guy and getting really annoyed by all of like the demands he's asking for, or since he believes he's on a yacht. Why do you need him so much that you care to deal with this? As if you're getting this annoyed at him.
Right. And like, I don't know.
Yeah,
There's just a lot of like, okay, fine, I'll accept it type
yeah,
things. You know?
definitely. You know, it was funny to me how the bat bike is just was just under some leaves by the side of the on the side of the road. Like you have to be in that specific location if you need the bat bike, I guess.
Right. Which I think the only reason that narratively that works is because Batman was like, okay, this is where I'm gonna stop.
Like
It
maybe did he plan that on the stop?
I think he did.
Okay.
Because again, and I think they made this designation in Aftermath, but he 100% is known as the Batman who plans ahead the best. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, and then oh, that makes sense. And seeing as he did have Robin take that pill that was anti penguin gas. So he definitely knew that was gonna happen.
Right.
But it's also funny that like they didn't even actually end up doing the test in the Batcave that they're meant to do with Penguin. They just was like, all right, it's confirmed that you're Penguin. We're gonna still act like you're not, but we know no. So they took him out of there.
Right.
Um, Oh, something that I think I did find weird about this is the pacing of it. It didn't feel like a normal movie pacing.
No, it felt like a TV show stretched out for 2 hours.
Maybe like even with the
Yep.
TV show though, it has what really does feel like a beginning and an end versus I don't think it ain't so much in this. It doesn't really feel like when like we were actually at the beginning of a story in or at the beginning of this and them just going out the window didn't feel like the end of the story, which I think most TV episodes have a good feeling beginning of the story and a good feeling end of the story.
By the way, sometimes my notes surprise me on the random shit that I will write. The very last note I have for this is Batman says to leave inconspicuously through the window, through the wall, till the sweat drips down his. Oh, wait, never mind. Sorry. No, it doesn't. But on the other hand, to be continued type of feel to it. I mean, the show
So
happened around this,
yeah, so this came out in between the first and second seasons, which honestly really surprises me that they were able to get a movie off the ground for a TV show that quick.
They
Like,
did a lot of this show very, very quickly.
yeah, like
It
think
shows.
about most TV shows if they get a movie, it's many years after the show started, or before they get one. Versus this, it's like 5 months after it started, they got a movie, which is that's crazy to me. It shows to me how insanely popular this show was.
100%.
All and a sign that I found while looking it up stuff about this that I found really interesting is this is not the same Catwoman actor as was in the show.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
apparently there were also multiple Catwoman actors in the show. So within this continuity, there are three different Catwoman actors.
Yes, and one of them went on to be in God, what is that movie? Oh, that's really gonna bother me. Uh, because Blade was in it. Blade, Wesley Snipes, right? Played a drag queen.
Uh, um,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I've never seen it, but I think it's
Tu
something
Wong
about
Fu. Thanks
yeah.
for everything, Julie Newmar. So
Mhm.
Julie Newmar was, I think, at the very end showed up in some capacity, but Julie Newmar is one of the Catwomen, and they call her that at one point in the movie. Fun fact.
Uh-huh. Nice.
In fact, oh wait, oh no.
Oh, sign I think was an interesting and a little bit of a weird choice when Batman or when Bruce Wayne comes back from being kidnapped. I think it was weird to have Dick be with the commissioner at Wayne Manor, because having him there with the commissioner or making it the point so that he lives here with Bruce. I think is a very big clue for them being Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Um,
But
there have been all
then again there are a lot of times where he is actually adopted by Batman. So it kind of makes sense.
and I think he is uh in the show, and there's also another canon answer from the comics. Well, the comic I'm about to tell you about is not canon, but there's times where it happens in the comics too. Um, so Commissioner Gordon, I there's a comic Deceased, which is heavily based off of the main continuity, but there's some undead stuff going on.
Mhm.
Think of it like DC's Marvel Zombies, but
Yeah.
maybe a little more hopeful. And basically, Commissioner Gordon goes, "Okay, I know where to find all of the Bat family." And another character goes, "What do you mean you know where to find them?" He was like, "Well, I pretended like I didn't know their identities because it's Batman. He was here to help, but
Mhm.
now you know, have to track everybody down so that I can protect my people from the undead."
Yeah.
So maybe this commissioner does know, and he's just like, nope,
Yeah, it
not
makes
looking under
sense.
that rock.
Makes sense. And sort of in the Supergirl TV show, Cat Grant knew that Kara was Supergirl the whole time and didn't mention it till the end.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think. Well, I also want to mention about this.
oh, I do have one for the UN's different languages.
Okay.
So the Germans are speaking Hebrew, and the US are also speaking Japanese. Now, if I haven't been controversial enough this podcast, um, Germany committed war crimes against Jewish people, Hebrew, right? And the US absolutely committed a war crime against Japan. And I thought that was really interesting. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
now, I doubt that was purposeful, but it stuck out to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see.
Oh, the dedication thing. I thought the dedication at the very beginning was really cool.
Oh yeah, that was so much fun to see. Yeah, the to the lovers of goofiness and stuff like that. Like
I have
that's
one of
so appreciative. Oh yeah.
We wish to express our gratitude to the enemies of crime and crusaders against crime throughout the world for their inspirational example.
Mhm.
Like, that is so goofy and kid
Oh
friendly.
yeah, definitely. Oh, I find it funny how how unlike every other adaptation of Batman. Batman is actually not a vigilante in this. He works for the cops, ops quite literally.
And this show is very pro police.
Well, yeah,
Um,
they literally said we support our police.
yeah, support your police. That's our message. Well said, Robin. And that's what we're going to end this press conference on. You know,
Oh man, and yeah, that's a very 60s thing to say.
now that in that same vein for that same press conference, because I recognize that this Batman is very different from other Batmen. However, Batman lied to the full press conference or lied for the full press conference to keep the general public calm. And if you think about it, Bale's Batman kind of did the same thing in The Dark Knight with Harvey Dent's death. Like everything's going to fall apart. I'm going to take the blame.
Yeah,
Or I'm just going to lie.
makes
There's
sense.
no missing yacht. I'm going to do what I got to do.
Mhm.
That's a Batman move, you know.
Yeah. So I just went on to IMDb's trivia page to see what kind of trivia there is in the film. The submarine interiors are redressed ones from 1964 film called Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Oh, that's cool.
This is something I already knew about, but it's always a funny thing to think about how Cesar Romero refused to shave his mustache during filming, so they covered it up with makeup.
Yep, I did hear that at one point. That's wild.
Yeah. The Apparently Adam West agreed to do the film partly with the stipulation to have more screen time as Bruce Wayne, which is interesting because he doesn't have a lot as Bruce Wayne in this.
Right.
Which means that there's probably almost none in the actual show, I'm guessing. Let's see. So filming the movie began before Lee Merriweather was cast for the film. That's who played a Catwoman in it, and because of that, Catwoman and does not appear with the other villains in the first scene aboard the Penguin submarine because she hadn't been cast when they filmed that. Let's see. This was apparently originally planned to be a pilot film for the show. But then it instead ended up being produced between the first and second seasons, and which I can absolutely see that how that would make sense. And they did a lot of shows. I'm pretty sure back then did a pilot movies instead of just pilot episodes of shows. Like the 70s Incredible Hulk show did that. It was a pilot movie. Let's see. Apparently, at one point they thought about doing a follow-up film, but they I guess decided against it.
Oh, did you notice that when Bruce is going down to the Batcave by himself, there's one pole, but then when Robin's with him, there's two poles?
I did not. I did think it was really funny the instant costume change lever.
Batman has a button for everything. I'm
Like
not
I imagine that would be really uncomfortable for or like however the costume comes on.
right.
Oh man.
Another one that kind of jumped out at me, and I'm sorry to cut you off. But I saw this one and I got excited. Uh, Brucey's call him Brucey when he's out of the suit. I don't know why. Bruce says he will kill all the villains if they hurt Kitka, and I thought that was really interesting because
Yeah.
Batman doesn't kill. I mean,
Oh
Batman
yeah.
doesn't kill, but I mean, we kind of talked about that on my podcast too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this was very much in a time where I would not have expected a line like that.
But it also, and maybe I'm giving this movie's writing a little too much credit, but think about it. He's zip tied. Um, you know, there's the person who he feels responsible for protecting is also in danger. He might feel as helpless as he did in Prime Allen. Like this could be a little PTSD poking out.
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, which that would be really cool if they actually tried for something like that back then. But I
I
don't have
doubt
a
it.
lot of
Yep.
faith that when do you have any idea when like Batman's origin actually was introduced in the comics?
No, but
because that's
Give me.
because I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't even a thing at this point. Like I know that
I'd be surprised if he came out in 39.
maybe yeah. I know
Um,
when the
oh,
70s I know when the with the 70s Hulk TV show, the Hulk's origin of being someone who had an abusive father had not been created when that show came out. So there was no hints of that in that show at all.
so he was introduced originally in Detective Comics 27, which was in May of 1939, right? And so Detective Comics 33, and I guess technically 34, I think it's a two-issue arc where they show his origin. So roughly 6 months after. Yeah, my
Oh,
math is mathing.
interesting.
So yeah, that took place 17 years beforehand. Is
Oh,
that right?
interesting.
Am I
Yeah,
is that mathing? I
makes
think it is.
makes sense. I think so.
Right. Okay.
Let's see.
Oh no,
Try
27, right? Fuck it.
what?
Go ahead. You're
No,
fine.
no, I'm still looking at different trivia to see if there's anything that that's interesting. Apparently, the villains in this are actually what inspired Matt Reeves to include them in his version of the Batman movie.
Oh, that's cool. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense since it is the same set of villains. Let's see. Though I'm gonna be honest, I like the version of the villains in this better than the Matt Reeves one.
I didn't mind the Matt Reeves.
And that's absolutely fine. I know that I'm very much in the minority with that. I just I didn't like the really serious way that they did the villains. I think the one I liked the best with the Matt Reeves was was Catwoman in the Matt Reeves film. I think she felt most like what I knew. Yeah, you can do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Let's see. Let's see if I can find one last piece of trivia that I think is interesting. Let's see. I think that there's not a lot of it's actually a super interesting here, but one thing that I saw is that they gave Bruce the middle name of Thomas as a reference to his father in the comics, which is cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I do have another fun fact.
Okay.
The World Security Council, or whatever they call it, is in the real world has 15 people instead of nine.
Uh-huh.
There's five that are always there, which are China, who I don't think we saw, and I could be wrong, but I think it was Japan instead of China. France, Russia, US, and the UK, and then 10 other elected countries uh, from around the world.
Makes sense. Um, there were so apparently there's like three different alternate versions of this film, which is surprising. So, oh yeah, so it says depending on the condition and color saturation of print, Joker's hair can appear orange rather than green in some versions of the film.
Is it
It's evident apparently, particularly on the VHS releases of the film.
is it negative? That's kind of crazy.
The so and then that it's the same with the TV show. Particularly when during fades to black. I
Oh,
apparently some American TV prints omit the scene sequence of Batman and Robin driving the Batmobile down a boat dock to reach the Bat boat. And then and finally, some TV prints cut Penguin's final line in the scene in which he dehydrates the pirates. Which this is actually something I thought was interesting. The line that I noticed. And I don't know why they would have cut it, but in some of the versions, but he says every one of them has a mother, and that's his. That's why he really wants them to be careful with these guys which is interesting. It shows some humanity from Penguin.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting, honestly. I
Uh,
almost wrote down that line and I was like, Tim, you put too many notes down already.
mhm,
Um, but no, I can't imagine cutting that line out.
mhm.
Um, I don't really think I have much else. Uh, oh, uh, I do think it's kind of funny, just because of our uh being together on my podcast last time. We kind of talked about how Westerns took over comics for a while
Mhm.
around this time. Like
Yeah.
it was before this, but before this time. And so Catwoman actually goes, "Oh, you're like a mass vigilante from the Westerns, no?" And I was like, I understand that reference. That's funny, you know. At least that's what I'm taking it as a reference to. Nobody tell me if it's not. Um,
Yeah,
all right.
that definitely makes sense.
Well, the last thing I got is Catwoman and Batman were really vibing. And they had the thing where they close their eyes together. And I guess all I have to say is Batman, fuck.
uh, that was great. No, everyone, please check out anyone's comic book podcast. As he does a lot of amazing work on there. Air a lot more high quality work than you'll see on my podcast. As also just a lot more work in general since he does a whole bunch of issues all at once whereas I'm just reviewing one thing at a time. I'm Please check out his podcast. I know you'll enjoy it. And thank you everyone for listening. If you like this scam analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode, so please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more Gamma analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.